So the first thing I'm going to say is I'm unboxing it right now. Ba-ba-bum. Again, we're going to just take a moment and we're going to appreciate it because it's never going to be this clean again. Okay, that was our moment of appreciating a clean. What I'm seeing right here, I'm trying to not get the light. This says this side is for rubber, so that makes it really easy. Just on the first blush on the back, there is a full padding on the back that provides a little bit of a cushion. This, by the way, is very similar to these products that have a cushion background. I got this one from the stamp pad or the ink pad in New York City. So I know that if I have a problem, I bought it from a local vendor, I can take it back. So I'm going to tell you, it's kind of hefty. And I'm seeing that there are grid lines on the front. I do not feel any grid lines. I only see them. I can feel them on this side. You can hear them too. So this side says clear. This is also a very thick plastic lid. I'm going to try removing it. And what I'm seeing in the hinge, I'm just going to show you the hinge real quick. So notice how there's a very thick hinge here on the top and the bottom, and then it's clear in the middle. That means that when I go to remove it, you need to lift straight up at a 90-degree angle in order to remove it. And I'm going to do that over here because I put it on the table and lift it up. So here's just the lid. It has a nice metal bar, which is really good. I think that'll make it pretty sturdy. And again, just one more time here, it says clear, so you know if you're this side up, it's the clear side. And if this is up, there's your rubber. So there's good. There is no foamy pad. No foamy pad. This is just one pure, clear, solid lid to wipe clean. So there's that. That is in direct difference to both the Hampton Arts and the Misti. And I'll show you on the Misti because it's smaller. So the Misti, if you want to stamp a photopolymer, you have to have this little piece of foam, which does come out, which is nice. And then if the foam is missing, then you can go ahead and use it for the red rubber stamps, like these ones here, because see, they're thicker. So I'm not going to add a foam pad. I'm going to see how it works without it. But I will say that already one of the things that I have had an issue with in my studio is that I go back and forth very quickly between photopolymer and red rubber all the time, like in the same project. So then I put this down, and this, because it's so small, and maybe because it's black, I don't know, it gets lost very quickly on my desktop. I often, it gets messed up. It gets lost in all of the paper scraps. You know how that goes? So I'm kind of excited that the Tim Holtz one is designed to work without a pad, because here's another example. So what I've done so far, here's the Hampton Arts one. It's a little bit bigger, so it was a little easier for me to see because it was a bigger pad. By the way, it has lines on the base and on the lid. The Tim Holtz one does not have any grids on the base, so there's that. Here's the thing though, I've already lost this piece of foam. That happened. I don't know where it went. So I decided to keep this one just for red and this one just for photo, and then I'm good. So some people have already been, I'm seeing the comments coming through that they wish that this had a grid on it because then it would be easier to line things up. For the Misti, I laminated a sheet of the grid paper to put on top of the foam pad. That's nice. Oh, there's no foam pad on the We Are Memory Keepers either. So here's the thing too. I do have grid paper. Actually, I've been trying to keep it on my desk. So what you could theoretically also do is laminate a piece of grid paper and just slide it right in there. Okay, you know what time it is now. I'm going to speed things up and give you the voiceover so we can cover a lot more ground in a lot less time. So the first thing I did was remove the lid, and I got it set up to do the red rubber stamps. And by the way, I should also mention it came with two of those magnets. They're also etched, the magnets are, so theoretically they won't like snap together as fast and may not pinch your fingers, but I'm not going to risk that, just so you know. I do end up putting tape on them. So I'm going to distress ink it up a little bit and kind of snap that lid back and give it my first little impression there. Now, I know you're not supposed to be a CPR stamper and press on it, but I almost like can't not give it a rub. I don't know why. But in the upper left corner, it looked great. I'm going to ink up the middle section and see if it's consistent there. That looked pretty good. By the way, I'm using Distress ink, so it's a little bit splotchier than normal ink. And with all three of these, though, I feel like it really did give me very nice results. Now, during my live demo, somebody asked me to actually use larger stamps just to see if I used a bigger background stamp, if it would go the whole way. And as you can see, it did not ink completely. You can tell because not only is the paper still light, but you can see the ink still on the red rubber where it didn't go. So I found that I really had to get in there and kind of massage the stamp with the heel of my hand in order to get a full impression. So there is a little bit of flexibility in the base that keeps it from contacting 100%. You can see it again even in the middle here where the ink was still left on the red rubber and it did not transfer. But the brilliance of a stamping platform means that I can just close the thing back up and give it another little press with the heel of my hand, and all the ink does transfer without having to reposition the stamp. So while it isn't perfect, it actually solves its own problem because it's a stamp positioner, if that makes any sense. I also wanted to try it here with a black stamp pad just to see if changing the stamp pads were any different, and the answer is no, not really. Still a few places that it didn't contact entirely, but it could be also my rubber stamp might be just a little off too, although the funny thing is this is also a Tim Holtz rubber stamp. So there's that. So let's go on to the clear photopolymer stamps. Okay, as you can see, I'm using this cute Hero Arts border stamp, and I'm using my magnets, which by the way, now I have added the tape to just because I find it so much easier for me to pick them up with a little tab. If you have great nails, that's fine, but I don't, so I use the little washi tape tabs. And I'm using my Dare to Be Artsy stamp pad and the Hero Art stamp, and I just give it a little burnish with my heel of my hand, and you can see that yes, I did have areas that skipped, so I went back over it a couple times. Yeah, and I had to kind of work with it. So I do feel like that there are areas that miss in this platform. Now I know that somebody else has solved this problem by adding a sheet of foam to it. Um, I, I just don't know if we should feel like you should have to do that with a new tool like this. Again, I'm willing to kind of give it the benefit of the doubt and ink it up and, do it a couple times and give it a little bit more pressure with my hand just to get the impression as crisp as it needs to be. So now with that out of the way, I'm going to tell you some things I really do like about the platform. I like the fact that it is a little bit bigger and that it's open on two sides. That really allows me to use longer pieces of paper. I can stamp on an entire piece of card without it pinching or lifting up. It holds things very securely. The non-stick surface is really great. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to show you how I actually used it as a spray platform. It's kind of like an extra work surface. And you can just remove the lid entirely. So a lot of these stamping platforms, when you open it up, it's taking up a pretty good piece of real estate. But because you can remove the lid entirely and set it aside, you actually have a pretty nice work surface that takes up a smaller footprint. And honestly, if you didn't have a non-stick mat to work on, this tool will actually double as another non-stick craft matty type surface. As you can see, it just cleans up like a charm. And in this last little kind of mini demo I'm doing, what I'm actually doing is I'm just using the stamping platform as an extra work surface. Now, for something like this stamp where I want to do a repeat on one side, it actually does not make any sense at all for me to keep using the positioner in that way. So what I'm doing is I'm actually laying the stamp down where I want it, and then I'm using the lid to just lift it off of the surface for me, which helps, decrease the opportunity for smudging. The metal or the magnets actually hold the paper nice and steady, which I like. I can't do that on my regular work surface. And of course, I can work off the edge and on to the base because it's non-stick and it just cleans up really nicely. So in this way, I'm actually, again, using the stamping platform to stamp on, to spray on as a work surface, kind of a little bit of everything. And as you can see, as I'm switching back and forth to different kinds of stamps, it's really nice to just be able to flip the lid instead of have to change tools entirely. And as you can see here, I actually went back to the platform. I'm letting the magnets hold my project down for me as I'm doing a little bit of blending right on the paper. And I can scrumble off of the edge of the platform onto the surface and get a nice even blend that way as well. So I think actually on the whole I'm going to tell you I am enjoying this tool. I think I'm absolutely going to keep it and use it as my regular stamp pad positioning tool. I'm going to go ahead and take a piece of grid paper and laminate it and kind of slide it under if I want to do positioning. And I'm just going to be aware that if there are some little places where maybe it doesn't give me the crispest of impressions, I'm just going to give it a little bit more nudging with the heel of my hand, because really I think that that's a reasonable expectation. And for this last little bit of demo, I'm going to show you something that you can't do with your normal positioning tool. I'm actually stamping in my journal. Now, normally this isn't the kind of thing I would do. However, I had somebody ask on Periscope if I could slide my Diane Reevely journal underneath it, and gosh darn it, I could. So there. And just in case I forgot to point it out before, there are measurement lines along the side, which is nice for having to position things. There are the grid lines on the lid, so you don't get the three sides of grids the way you do with some of the other stamp pads. But for me, the benefits of being able to stamp on large pieces of paper like this and have it hang out the side really outweigh the negatives of this particular tool. Phew! That was a big, long review and demo. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it answered some of your questions. If you have any more, just leave me a comment in the section below and I'll do my best to answer it for you. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and above all, have a crafty day.